Imagine discovering that the story millions of people believe is only a fraction of the truth. Imagine learning that behind the glamorous headlines, royal titles, and carefully managed public appearances, a fierce battle has been taking place over the memory of one of the most beloved women the world has ever known. For years, the name Princess Diana has carried an almost unmatched emotional power. Decades after her death, people still speak about her with admiration, sympathy, and fascination. Her photograph continued to appear across newspapers and magazines. Documentaries about her life still attract enormous audiences, and every new revelation connected to her name instantly becomes international news. Yet while the public has always felt a deep connection to Diana, there are those who knew her long before she became a global icon. They knew the young woman behind the headlines, the daughter, the sister, and the person whose life was transformed forever by circumstances few could truly understand. As discussions surrounding future projects connected to Diana's legacy continue to gather attention, a growing debate has emerged over who has the right to tell her story and where the line should be drawn between honoring a memory and profiting from it. What makes this situation particularly compelling is that it is not simply another disagreement involving the media or public opinion. Instead, it touches on something far deeper, the protection of a family legacy that has been guarded for generations. The estate where Diana spent much of her childhood is more than a historic property. It represents a connection to her earliest years, a place filled with memories that existed long before the cameras arrived and long before the world became obsessed with every detail of her life. To many people, such places are symbols of history. To family members, they are reminders of moments that belong to them alone. That distinction has become increasingly important as public interest in Diana's life continues to grow. Every anniversary, every documentary, and every new project brings renewed attention to events that have already been examined countless times. Yet despite the endless coverage, there remains a powerful desire among audiences to learn more, to uncover unseen details, and to gain access to private moments that have never before entered the public domain. It is this demand that often drives major media productions, creating opportunities worth millions while simultaneously raising difficult ethical questions. At what point does curiosity become intrusion? When does remembrance become commercialization? And should every personal memory be considered fair game simply because it involves someone famous? These questions have become central to a debate that extends far beyond one family or one historical figure. In today's world, personal stories are frequently transformed into content. Moments of joy, grief, struggle, and triumph are packaged into documentaries, interviews, and streaming productions designed to attract viewers. While many of these projects genuinely seek to educate and inform, others inevitably face criticism for turning private experiences into entertainment. That criticism becomes even more intense when the individual at the center of the story is no longer alive to share their own perspective. Princess Diana's life was marked by extraordinary public attention, but it was also marked by extraordinary vulnerability. She lived through circumstances that would have overwhelmed most people, often while being observed by millions. The challenges she faced became global conversations, and her personal struggles were frequently discussed as though they belonged to the public rather than to her. Even now, years after her passing, those same experiences continue to be revisited and reinterpreted by commentators, filmmakers, and historians. Some view this as an important effort to preserve history. Others worry that repeated retellings risk reducing complex human life into a series of marketable narratives. The tension between those perspectives lies at the heart of the current discussion. For family members who remember Diana not as a public figure but as someone they loved, protecting her memory may feel less like a choice and more like a responsibility. They understand that public fascination is unlikely to disappear, yet they may also believe that certain aspects of her life should remain untouched by commercial interests. From that viewpoint, refusing access to private archives or family records is not an act of secrecy but an act of stewardship. It is a way of ensuring that some parts of a person's story remain personal rather than becoming commodities. Such decisions can be controversial because they inevitably disappoint those hoping to create definitive accounts of historical events. Producers, authors, and broadcasters often argue that access to previously unseen material allows audiences to gain a deeper understanding of important figures. They believe that preserving history sometimes requires sharing information that would otherwise remain hidden. Yet families frequently see the matter differently. To them, every letter, photograph, or home video may represent an intimate memory rather than a historical artifact. The challenge arises when those competing perspectives collide. On one side stands public interest, supported by the belief that significant figures belong to history. On the other stands personal loyalty, supported by the conviction that not every memory should be exposed to public scrutiny. Neither position is entirely simple, which is why debates surrounding famous individuals often become so emotionally charged. The discussion surrounding Diana's legacy is particularly powerful because she remains one of the most recognizable and admired figures of the modern era. Her influence extended far beyond royal life. She changed conversations about charity, mental health, and humanitarian causes, connecting with people in a way few public figures ever achieve. That influence continues to shape how she is remembered, ensuring that every new project connected to her name attracts extraordinary attention. Yet perhaps the most remarkable aspect of this ongoing story is that it reveals how deeply people still care. The passion surrounding Diana's legacy demonstrates that her impact did not end with her life. Instead, it continues to inspire debate, reflection, and strong emotions across generations. Whether one believes a story should be shared more widely or protected more carefully, there is no denying the significance of the questions being asked. They force us to consider how we treat the memories of those who can no longer speak for themselves, and whether fame should grant unlimited access to a person's private life. As society becomes increasingly driven by content, those questions will only become more relevant. The balance between public interest and personal dignity grows more difficult to maintain with every passing year. Yet perhaps that is why this story continues to resonate so strongly. It is not merely about history, royalty, or media projects. It is about memory, responsibility, and the enduring power of human connection. Long after headlines fade and controversies pass, the debate over how best to preserve a legacy will remain. And as the world continues to look back on the life of Princess Diana, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Some stories belong to history, but some memories remain priceless, no matter how much the world wants to see them.